What I have here is 2008 Hyundai SantaFe two-wheel drive 3.3 V6 automatic. I recently purchased this car. It's a beautiful, clean running car, but as any car, it requires maintenance, and this one is no exception. Today I'm going to work or replace spark plugs. According to the manufacturer data, the spark plugs need to be changed between 96,000 miles and 100. Actually 96 it says in a bulletin. So this car exceeds that mileage, which is close to 120, and I already took one spark plug out and it's still original and hasn't been changed. So I assume all 6 of them still original and getting bad. It does not affect, as of right now, any driving. It still runs smooth, but from the previous experience, I know the spark plugs getting older, they're gonna run not as good as when I knew, and it's gonna affect the horsepower, the performance, and the gas mileage of the engine. So I'd rather do it now than later, and hopefully this engine will run for a very long time with the new spark plugs, save me a little bit money on the fuel, and not give me worries in the near future. Now, as a spark plug, or spark plugs require for this engine is NGK iridium, and the number is IFR5G11. This is exactly the same spark plug that I took earlier out of one of the cylinder, and it matched this number. Now, another thing I want to mention, because it's original manufacturer equipment or part, it don't need to be gapped. So it's already preset. The gap is good. All I have to do is just unscrew the old one and screw a new one in. And of course, before I start any work, the good idea is to disconnect the battery, which I already did. You don't have to disconnect the positive. Usually negative will do. So this engine is not have any source of electricity supplied or power supplied to it, so I should not see any sparks flying or any burned fuses. Now, to get to the intake, of course, this plastic cover is in the way, which is held by 6 bolts, and I already removed them, so let's just take it out. Now, as you can see, it's more exposed. This is the intake I'm talking about. And like I said, the spark plugs sitting behind the intake. Let me show you from the different little bit of angle so you'll have a better idea. Sorry for a little shaky camera here. This is the, as I said, V8. So we have 3 spark plugs sitting in front of the engine or the motor, which is easy to get. Just unscrew this 3 and pop the wires or ignition wires, and you'll get 2 spark plugs. But the other 3 you can barely see right there. There's right there is blocking by intake. So in this I'll already disconnect most of it, but I'll still show you what I did so far. And of course I start with the intake, which is held by this big screw right here, and once you unscrew, just get it loose and pop. Also, don't forget there is a vent tube going into the valve cover. I didn't disconnect a sensor, just let it here because I got plenty of room to take it out. And the rest of work would be unscrew all these brackets, disconnect sensors, and don't forget about brake booster. It sits right on the back. There is another AC, I believe that looks like AC to me, hoses that it holds right here that need to be disconnected too. And on this side is just the bracket that, let me show you. Yeah, I already removed this bracket, and everything else being removed. So at this point I want to show you one more thing. Right behind there is 1, 2, and 3 bolts, and there's 2 on each side that holding intake. And to take them off, just be careful. This is your injectors, fuel injectors line, which is not fuel, it's just electricity runs through to run the injectors. Be careful not to pull it too hard so you won't damage it. It's fairly loose, so it should give me plenty of room to work on it. And also, I want to show you there's this vent tube that sits right there and it was held by 2 bolts that connects here and in that line. So I took it out because it was very hard to get to those 3 bolts. And now I just want to show you, after all this done, I'm gonna show you it's already loose, as you can see. I got a couple things to disconnect. There's one sensor on throttle body position sensor, I believe that's the one, and the the booster for the brakes. And I believe that should be it. That should lift and move aside, and I will have a full access to the spark plugs.